Here, let's oh, that's a good buffer size. What's up, dudes? Let's not get a bunch of feedback in here. How's everyone doing? I'm so tired right now. I don't know why. Maybe I got the Rona. I hope I don't have the Rona. Oh, it's probably the no sleep I've been getting from playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and a lot of sim racing. And then also feeling guilty about sleeping in. So I'm doing an impromptu thing here. I don't know. I'm gonna try this out. Let's see how this goes. Because I don't really record in front of people. We're gonna be working on one of my fears and anxieties right now. If it sucks, I'll just never do it again. That's fine. All right, and it looks like we got our stream. What's up, YouTubes? I am doing the main thing on Twitch. Just FYI. Let me see if there's a way to get like sort of both chats visible. That would be nice. If I can get this off to the side here, maybe you guys can make this slightly more fun for me by just keeping me company. What do we say? It's not bad, huh? All right. Yeah, Twitch chat you can pop out. Yeah, probably. Just don't have the patience to figure it out. I've got it set up on the computer to the left, so we're good. We have sound. All right. Cool. We've got sound there. We got. Yeah, this is happening. I don't even know why. You know, honestly, the only reason this happened is because Spencer sent me some vocals. He felt like re-recording Icarus. And then I was like, probably should. Like, the plan originally was that the guys were going to come over and at least give me moral support. And it does make it a lot less tedious and more fun if the guys are here helping me record. But that can't really happen thanks to Mr. Rona. So figured I'd just, I don't know. How you guys doing? Re-record the entire P1. I know this has come up a lot lately. I think it was just because it was the anniversary and we were expected to do something. We didn't really do anything because couldn't be bothered, to be honest. We do not have DIs for P1. I see someone asking about that. Unfortunately, that was before I knew how to do any of that stuff. I really wish I had. I don't even know where those projects are. I probably got them on an old hard drive here somewhere. Maybe I could salvage something. If you're going to redo it, maybe redo it properly. Is this stream a Kaon? I hope that's how you say his name. That's that Australian dude. I actually saw his thing. It's not, but it's probably a coincidence. It's pretty cool that he was putting stuff together. Like I liked seeing that stuff. Kind of made me think like, hey, there is some hope for some of this stuff. I don't know. We'll see. All right, have a Red Bull. I already had my coffee. I'm probably just coming down from my coffee right now. So this is what I've got so far. I've got like a fair bit. You know, I did do a little bit. You guys want to listen through? I posted like a troll version of this the other day, but I'll show you what I've got so far. I'm just copy and pasting this from the original, this beginning part, because why not, right? You guys aren't supposed to hear this, but hey, streaming, whatever.
This is why
out there. As you can hear, Spencer's vocals sound way better. I haven't leveled the vocals. They're just sort of in there just because I wanted to hear it, but nothing's really leveled. And, it's kind of a rough mix on all of this, but what are you going to do? I have the original track in for reference. I'm using a map that has way less symbols than what it says it does. How you guys doing? How about I just distract myself and procrastinate instead of recording, and I just talk to you guys, huh? The head voice is a little disappointing. Jesus Christ. It was just originally. Oh, you guys are too much. That's a YouTube comment. You can tell, can't you? Are those Matt's ideas for drums or mine? I'm just programming using the P4 kit. What we got going here? Got the P4 kit. This is the setup I'm using. Got that like cannon of a VK snare. And I'm also reinforcing with Modern and Massive. Not a whole lot, as you can hear. It does something, I think. Who knows? Seems to work, right? Let's see. What's the purpose of this? Like, just for fun or at least? I don't know, man. I'm just bored. I shouldn't be bored. I have things to do, I think. What do I have to do? I've gotten most of my work done. Working on a GGD thing. I guess I don't have too much work for the companies right now. Oh yeah, solo album. I should be working on a solo album. I could be working on a solo album, and I'm distracting myself with this because I kind of don't want to work on a solo album right now. I don't know. The bass track is Nolly's Tone. Actually, this is just something that he sent. This is what we use live. We wanted a new bass track to use live because we're like, that old bass track sucks, which it does. So, he prepared this for us, and I found that in our Dropbox, and I just kind of dropped it in because otherwise I'd have to retrack it. But that's one less thing for me to do. And in any case, if we did a re-recording of the album, we would ask Nolly to retrack the bass because Nolly bass, right? It's obvious. Let's see. What are those headphones? I've had these forever. These are the Sennheiser HD 800. They're really nice, expensive headphones. Super expensive headphones. But they sound good. They're super comfortable. And I am using them with SonarWorks, as you can see here. I turned it off for you guys because it's useless. But that's the only reason I'm on. Well, that and I don't want it to feed back into the mic. But I can have my SonarWorks mix. I can hear everything corrected, but not ruin it for you guys. It takes a fair bit of figuring out and routing, but the things I do for you guys, the things I do for love. Oh, someone got banned. Oh, wait, from posting links. Someone was posting links. Oh, it's because he typed in soundclick.com. It didn't like that. Anyways, let's see. Oh, we've got a donation. Oh, thank you very much, Shred Shot. You keep donating. What a sweetheart. Let's answer your question. Thanks for answering my questions last time. Do you think it's worth installing EverTunes in your Basswood USAs, or do the quirks outweigh the benefits considering the price for home and studio use? It's a good question. I really like. I think everyone should have an EverTune in their collection. It should. Whether it should be your only guitar, I think I've warmed up to it a little bit. I will give them credit. I mean, do you guys know what EverTunes are? Am I just confusing everyone right now? They're basically I mean, it sounds impossible, but it basically keeps your guitar in tune forever, which is great. The downsides are that it doesn't sound as good as a guitar that doesn't have an EverTune. And it doesn't sort of play as well as a guitar that doesn't have an EverTune. But, you know, it will save you so much time when you're recording. And actually, recently I've gotten a couple guitars that, like, I have this Blue 6 with an EverTune that just, it's got mojo. It actually sounds great. It plays well. It's like, generally speaking, I wouldn't pick up an EverTune guitar just to jam on. Like, I never felt like they sounded or felt that good to play on. So I'd normally reach for something else, but I do actually find myself reaching for that Blue one. So maybe they've improved their bridges. Maybe it kind of takes a little bit of luck and mojo with the right guitar. That is a basswood guitar. So, but man, if you have a second guitar, you should have an EverTune, especially if you're recording, you care about tuning. It will save you so much time. You can do stuff with an EverTune that you can't really do with a regular guitar. Like the intro to Follow Your Ghost is a great example of that. You know, I'm on a non-EverTune 7 right now, but like we're doing this like kind of pull at the 12th fret, and then we're like picking really hard. You don't get as much of this because it's a 26.5 inch scale, but on the 25.5, especially, you know, in that A that it is, you'll get that note where it like sort of goes sharp and then settles back. But with an EverTune, you can set it so that you can pick, and I pick really hard, but you can pick as hard as you want, and you set it so that that doesn't trigger any pitch change, but that just bending a little, just a hair more than you would usually will trigger the pitch change. So you get this sort of best of both worlds zone. And that's where I like to set the guitars. And then you can do things like just like mash into your guitar, get the bend at the 12th, and then when you're hitting that low note, you get the full attack of the note, but no bend. So you get this like perfectly solid note, and it's a really cool effect, and you can never really get exactly that without sort of holding back on the pick attack or like just being super careful on a regular guitar. And I really like the sound of a guitar when you're, you know, digging in, because like it doesn't sound as good as, you know. So that's why. Jan, why are you texting me? This better be important. Oh, okay. Oh, new string library, Audio Imperia. Go check it out. Great stuff. Let me throw an EverTune into my Steinberger Gent stick real quick. Haha. What do I think about releasing the Juggernaut IR? It's not that good. Honestly, Nolly shot it, and this is what I'm using right now. I'm playing around with this Omega Neural amp because I've got an Omega on order. It should be arriving like pretty soon. I was so blown away by these amps at NAMM. And going with software just lets me like track DIs without any sort of complications. But I do like our studio cabs the best, better than the cabs that come with it. So I'm using these, and like honestly, this sounds so much better. So don't go for the Juggernaut sound when you could just go for the cabs that we're actually using now that we like better. GGD Zilla. There we go. Nice little plug. Oh, Ollie Wheeler. Thanks for your donation. Thanks for answering my question on the Reptile stream. What specific issues do you have with the P1 instrumentals mixing production? Oh, how much time you got, buddy? I mean, okay, look. I have never considered myself to be a mixing engineer. I do it just because it helps me get my ideas out. But there are people that are actually good at it. And that was like sort of at the beginning of that whole journey. It was a purely utilitarian mix. It's just we needed to get the album out. It was the best I could do at the time, but I didn't know what I was doing. There's a lot of stuff that's not right. Like it's over compressed and it's not mastered well. It's not even mastered really. Like I did like a little fake master and I didn't really have any reference. There's a lot of stuff happening frequency that isn't right. There's a lot that is right about that album. And I listen back and I'm like, oh, you know, this is pretty cool. But like the drums don't sound good. The bass sounds terrible. I think the guitar tone is probably the least offensive, but it's got no top end to it. And I think that's like the mood I was in back then, was this sort of fake, sort of like English sound, you know, angle as in the amps, you know, that like where it doesn't have that top end sort of sparkle, like, you know, where you get the chords to ring out and sing. But that's probably the least offensive aspect. The vocals obviously do not sound good. You know, Spencer had joined the band, I think 3 weeks before we recorded that album. He had to learn everything, and he was barely a singer back then, and he had no live experience, no studio experience really. But we just sort of believed in him, and I always knew that if he put the work in, that he would be like an incredible singer, and I'm really glad to see that ended up being true. He put in so much work, so it's like kind of we've all sort of leveled up since then, and it would be great to have. I'd say Periphery 2 was the first time that we really felt like we were putting together an album that sort of sounded at least like the way that we should sound. And Periphery 1 is just rough. It's hard for me to listen to it. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know what you guys think. Let's see what you guys are saying. He didn't sing before P1? No, he was like a guitarist in a band. No. We're like the first band that he sang in. And, you know, he was rough live, and he didn't know how to take care of his voice or anything like that. You know, now he's a lot better in every category. But I think from day one, I always liked his creativity. In fact, we hired him because he, you know, this was a Haunted Shore song at the time. But Sentient Glow, I guess like made it out to him or something, and he ended up doing vocals just over sort of the last bit, you know, like where it like calms down to the clean guitars, the Watch the Horizon part. And like Mark sent that to me, and I was like, oh my god. And I was like, hey, are you gonna be mad if I tell this guy to join Periphery? And it was funny because Casey, our second singer, was like, I basically found the guy for your band, and we kind of like brushed it off. But then when we heard that demo, we were like, oh man, like even though like his screams were really rough back then, and you know there was some certain things that were really rough around the edges, I was like, man, I really like not only the creativity that I'm hearing, but also just his approach. It's like, oh, I wouldn't have necessarily heard that over this, and I really like where he's coming from melodically. It showed sort of this creativity, which we've then seen and put to use many times. So, you know, I just saw a lot of potential back then. And like, I feel like, yeah, there we go. P1 is rough. P1 is sick, bro. Don't be so hard on yourself. Oh, I mean, that's sweet. I think I have a different attachment to it too, because it's such a different point in my life. I mean, what was that? 10 years ago now? Longer? I was a very different person. I wanted to do different things. But yeah, I'm not like, I don't think that album sucks. And I am proud of what it is and what it represents, but it is kind of hard for me to, like, I don't listen to that album ever. If I ever listen to it, it's just to practice it for like a clinic because I play butter snips at clinics sometimes. And it's cool to see like you guys say P1 influenced me so heavily. I mean, like you know, like that's also, I get that. It was also very weirdly received. Like at the time I was super proud of it. We were all super proud of it, but you guys have to understand that like nobody really liked it. Like our hardcore fans even didn't really like it that much because they were so attached to the demo versions on SoundClick, and they were just like, it's all right, but I prefer the demo. So, and I know that there's a cycle of that happening. I mean, we've been a band long enough to see that cycle happen, and a lot of our albums sort of seem to be very underwhelming at first and then get sort of acclaim after the fact. Like when we put Periphery 2 out, I don't think people realize like how much people, I wouldn't say like everyone did, but it was so divisive. Like there were people who actively hated it, who were like, well, your career's over. You just put out P2. Like P1 was the best thing you'll ever create, and P2 you basically lost everything that was special about you, and it felt like a complete failure, you know, coming from some comments. And now it's like revered as like this, like, oh, that's the best thing you'll ever do. You'll never touch that again for some fans. And it's like, we've just seen that happen with a lot of albums. And Juggernaut, God, I remember Juggernaut probably feeling like the biggest failure out of everything because we kind of did something different. And we were super proud of that one. So it doesn't really matter because we always believe in what we do. But like that one like was really rough. And I think we led with The Scourge, which is a weird track to lead with, but I'm really glad we did because it kind of showcases the vibe of that album. And it was not a very technical song, and it's entirely about vibe and sort of songwriting and chord changes and flow and things like that. Things that like were really important to me at the time. But yeah, Juggernaut, like I feel like was such a slow burn because people were just hating that album, and now I see people saying like, "Oh, we should return back to it." So this is why I don't listen too much to what you guys say. But you know, what are you gonna do? P2 is your best album personally. I think, you know, for a lot of people, we see a lot of people that like P2, but I will say one thing happened with P2 that's different from P1, which was we started to actually have fans. So I think for a lot of people, that was their introduction to us. And I know personally that like when I'm introduced to a band, that will always be a special moment. Like take Opeth, for example. Blackwater Park is how I first heard Opeth. So, and they've put out incredible albums since, and maybe better albums since, but that one will always be my favorite because that's what I associated. Like all the emotions that I felt when I fell in love with that band were associated with that album and those moments in time. So I get that, and I think like that was the big difference. Is P1, like we never really had that many fans when we did P1, but P2 was when we started to see this momentum started to increase. Oh, we got some more questions here. Let's see. Danger donated. Thank you very much. 8 years ago, you inspired me so much to record my own music. Even though I'm still really bad at mixing and can't seem to wrap my head around the methods you use, i.e. parallel compression. Love you, dude. I mean, just FYI, like we've been putting a lot of free tutorials on the GGD, like Get Good Drums YouTube, where we explain all that stuff. So if you just kind of troll around those just the videos, that's kind of something that we want to do, is just provide free lessons. Like I don't really think, Nolly kind of taught me that like none of this stuff really is sacred or secret. And the more producers that I talk to and the more people that like I really admire in this realm that I kind of see what they're doing, I realize like they're not doing anything that different or special. They might have the odd trick or here that they swear by, but it's just like a small difference. And it's really like how they're putting the whole thing together. So that's why I'm not really worried about like putting out presets or secrets or anything like that, because I realize like it's what you do with it. Just like with anything else, you know, you could have all the best gear in the world and you won't make a good mix if you really don't know how to use it or know what you're trying to do with it. So no worries. Maybe check out those videos on YouTube. See if you pick up anything that's useful there. Ya boy Matoy, thanks for the donation. What's your mindset when combining two IRs? Choice of mics and the blend and the sound you're usually aiming for. Sorry for the open-ended question, my dude. Love your stuff. Okay, so that's a good question. I mean, like, so like here, I'm actually doing something that's like kind of an approximation of like the Fredman technique, which would be like SM57. This is supposed to be like our quote-unquote Mesa oversized cab. I mean, it's a Zilla cab, basically constructed to that spec because you can't get these ones like from the 90s, and those speakers are kind of different. But this is sort of an approximation of that. So with that in mind, you know, you do one vintage 30 with a straight on 57, one V30 with an off axis. And then I've added this G12K100 because I just think it's a sick. It's got this super scooped characteristic to it, and it's got a lot of low end. So I wouldn't use it on its own, but you kind of just add it in, and just kind of fills out the low end a little bit. It's got this like little sparkle to it as well in the top end. The leveling gets all messed up when you have all three, but there you go. So yeah, that's basically, it's kind of what I would do in real life. Like some of the other things I'll do is like do a cream back and a vintage 30, you know, both with SM57. But this has been my sort of quote unquote metal setup, if you will, and I quite like it. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Quiet Cowboy, thanks for a donation, is playing the FF7 remake making you want to do any more Final Fantasy covers like the Haunted Shore stuff from a while back? Kind of. I don't know what to do, and I don't know if I would do a metal thing. I'm kind of like more into orchestral covers these days. Like I did the Final Fantasy 7 one. I could live stream that project. I actually think I did live stream that project at one point, but I could open it up for you guys again if you guys wanted to take a look, because that was a painstaking process of like trying to pick apart what Nobuo was doing and like trying to listen to like the old, you know, it's the 16-bit music, if you will, like that he was working with, and trying to be like, is that an oboe? Or like, you know, like what is it? And like sometimes I had to sort of, because I think he had it panned accurately, so it was like, oh well, you know, the oboe would be there, or like, you know, the flutes would be there, so like I bet that's a flute or whatever, you know, and trying to do my approximation. It was like a big ear training session for me. Oh, look at this. Prime Music donated and said, I will give you an absurd amount of money for a P1 remake. How much money, bro? I mean, it's not even about money. What it comes down to is time, really. So if you donate time to me, then I will do whatever you want. But yeah, the difficulty with this stuff is mainly that we could be, especially now with it being so hard to get together, we could be working on new stuff. We're itching to work on new stuff. Like, we're already itching to work on new stuff. And we have ideas, and we have a bunch of stuff you guys haven't heard yet. But, like, we could do that, or we could do P1. So it's like, what would you prefer? And what would we prefer? I like the idea of working on this P1 remake. And I'm obviously playing around with it just to see if it inspires anything. But, yeah. Oh, I'm also enjoying just like fucking around with sections like, wait, like, where are we? There we go. And this is why I have a guitar in my lap, because I'm supposed to record this, and I don't want to show you guys how untight I am when I'm recording. So we're gonna procrastinate and do other things. And this is why we're also gonna edit stuff. Ooh. Yeah, there we go. Or we could go for the, you know, good old blasties, right? Do some blasty boys. There we go. How about we do that? How about we do that like the whole way? This is way more fun than re-recording. You see, you guys are a wonderful influence here. Could start on that. Here, I'll look at the chat in a second. Just yeah, you know who would fucking love this is Matt. That dude, honestly, for how much he hates blast beats, he's a sweetheart and does them. His rule is just as long as we make him sound good, and it's not the whole section or whole song, because he really hates. I feel like all drummers who groove really hate blast beats, at least in my experience. And then here we go for this do a yeah, there we go. Get some good old China. Where is it? I really need to redo my map. In fact, I'm gonna do a video for you guys showing you how to redo my map, because I need to redo my map. This is from Invasion, and I was too lazy to change it. And here we should do that. And we should do a little splashy boy. Where are you? There. See, we had 3 splashes on Invasion. How sick was that? Yeah, there we go. All right, what do we think? What do we think? No groove when blasting. You're goddamn right. There's no groove. I'll show you guys a cool little trick. I've talked about this before, but this is something I just leave on forever. And I'm actually using less than I normally do. But this is like a little way to like sort of humanize stuff. On your track, go to MIDI modifiers. It's super simple. Just randomize your position by like 6 clicks or 7. You know, it depends on tempo and how loose you want it to sound. But I always make it late. Early hits don't ever sound good, but late hits generally do. I mean, like early hits can sound good if you're doing like sort of micro editing on stuff. But if I'm just leaving it to a randomization algorithm, having things be late makes them sound more realistic. And you can, you know, really fuck shit up. That's gonna sound like good drunk guy. With all the layers, you can't even hear how bad that is. You can hear it there with the click. So you put it to like, you know, let's put it to 10. Depending on the tempo, you could do. Like, I feel like 7 to 10 is in that range where it sounds like sort of quantized, but not perfectly, because there's always some errors with quantization. But it's not on top of the beat anymore, you know? You could just set this to... That's what it sounds like when I play drums. All right, let's get this back to like... There's like a couple hits that were on, because I think it randomizes it within that range. You know, so some may be directly on and some are not. Another thing you can mess with is velocity. I used to mess with that, but sometimes what would happen is you'd hit it into the next layer and there'd be a fundamentally different like snare sound, you know? So I don't mess with that quite as much. But yeah, fun stuff. It'll make blast beats sound a little bit more realistic though. How do you understand anything on that screen? I don't know. Habit? Good eyesight, I guess. Blessed with good eyesight. It's one of the few things I've got, you know? Complete mess of a human being otherwise, so, you know, might as well have something. The Infinite Myth donated an absurd amount. You don't need to do that, man, but thank you very much. God damn. Appreciate it, dude. Periphery helped me through one of the most difficult times of my life and helped me keep my head up. Your music is inspiring and helps so much. Hope to catch you guys again in Atlanta. Much love to you, Mark, Matt, Jake, and Spencer. Oh, thanks so much, man. You didn't even have a question. I was going to answer it for that. I was definitely going to answer your question. I hope you saw us at the Masquerade. They rebuilt that. Anyone here from Atlanta? Can we rant about the Masquerade a little bit? Because, like, who's here? Good eyesight, better riffs. I like it. Thanks, pal. So actually, I think New Masquerade actually sounds. Did anyone see us there? I felt like it, at least when we were at soundcheck, it sounded way better than the old one. The old Masquerade, for those of you guys who don't know, like, it's a vibe. It's definitely one of those places. Like, everyone who's toured, you know, in the States has played the Masquerade, probably, at least in our scene. And you know, you load in, or you would load in on this this weird cart thing that looks like it's out of like the 1800s, and that they put, like, you know, a motor on it, and that's what lifts all your gear up. I remember when we did the first time, it's like, is this gonna crash? And then you realize, you know, they do that every day for every band ever. And it was in that area. I forget what the area is called, but it's right next to Murder Kroger. And it was like a little sketch, but we never had problems. Like, it was always fine, you know. And we could tell that they were like sprucing the place up, because like you went like a few blocks away, and then like you'd go to the Whole Foods. Like you could see that was like up and coming. And we saw that place. Let's see. This stream is shadow banned. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Anyways, yeah, like ever since we first played there, they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna tear this place down, turn into condos. And like every year that we'd come back, I mean, the venue was still there, but there'd be like a nicer coffee shop and like fancy stuff. And eventually, I guess that area got way too fancy for there to be this weird like divey venue there. And despite the fact that that venue was like a bit of a rough venue itself, like it wasn't like a nice venue, and it definitely didn't sound good. But like, man, I always had and that backstage was disgusting, and that shower was, I might have like drunkenly showered with slippers one time because I was desperate. But like, yeah, I definitely don't shower in that shower. Anyways, yeah, like it was still something I looked forward to. I always looked forward to playing at the Masquerade. This new one is very different. Like it's like a venue, and you know, like a proper venue, normal. It's in kind of a, I want to say like a bit of a sketchy part of town. I don't know Atlanta that well. It didn't feel that safe necessarily, like walking around at night there. But it sounded really good. I thought it sounded really, really good. Upgrade to the, new spot is in the worst area of the city. Okay, cool. Because I didn't know if that was just me being like sheltered or anything, but I was like, probably shouldn't be walking around here at night by myself. But it was fine. I didn't have any issues there, you know? Let's see. No matter where you are in ATL, you're not really safe. That's not true. I mean, like, there's nice parts. At least where Old Masquerade was like towards the last part of those years. That was a nice area. They turned that abandoned factory into like this like hipster market where you could they had like a beef jerky store. Like, it's sick. I like that area, you know? Is 3 Dot open to artists? Well, sort of. 3 Dot is mainly a vehicle for us to put out our stuff, and then if we could strike the right deal with the right band or like help friends out or whatever, we will offer them a deal. We're not trying to take over the label industry. We're just sort of providing a service to people that we really like or believe in. And it's a lot of work to put out an album, so we want to do it only on projects that we are like 100% passionate about all across the board. So it's worth putting in the work, if that makes sense. But yeah, we're gonna sign on more artists eventually, absolutely. Let's see. Oh, we got a couple more people donated. Thank you very much, guys. Snoomy says, "Hey Misha, I love your stuff. IMO, you're one of the best songwriters I've ever come across." It's very kind. It's not true. Do you think it's possible to create good sounding guitar tones with a $100 interface using VST plugins? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the beauty of these software plugins, is that honestly, there's so many out there, there's so many brands, they've really caught up. I think mainly the thing that's happened is that processing power has just become, well, like the average sort of i5, i7, i9 processor is so powerful now that you can run these things. They are pretty, like these neural ones are pretty CPU intensive, to tell you the truth, but there's a lot of options out there. They're not necessarily all as CPU intensive, and you can get some great sounds without spending all the money on an Axe-FX. I still absolutely love the Axe-FX, and it's one of my favorite sort of creative tools, but it's an expensive proposition. So if you're I just love how recording just over the years has just become more accessible to everyone because the barrier of entry has just gone down. So absolutely work with what you've got. If you get what's it called, submission bass, then you have bass covered. You get our GGD drums, and I really recommend our cabs, so I'll plug those as well. Like you can get a great result with that. In fact, you know, you're hearing software drums and guitars. The bass, I'm pretty sure, is just Nolly tends to just use software for that too. So you are kind of hearing the results of that right now. Mikalara donated. Thank you very much. I recently heard Nobuo talking about how he constructed OWA, which was by putting a ton of different melodies together, and wondering if that's something you did for race car, or something you would like to let her experiment with in the future. I like the pun. I may be really dumb, but what is OWA? Maybe answer that so I can answer that question. Oh, One Wing Angel. That's probably what that means. You want to know something? I will make a bet. He's always said that he was influenced by Jimi Hendrix. So I swear that intro is influenced. Is it Purple Haze? Like dun 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 dun. I swear to God that's probably influenced by Jimi Hendrix in One Wing Angel, because it's like that same sort of kind of beat. Maybe I'm wrong, but like that to me has always been like one of those things. Like I hear it, I know. I bet I know where you got that. Putting a ton of different melodies together. I mean, I don't really know what that means. I think that's what we're always doing, is just putting a ton of different melodies together. I guess that song does have a bunch of different movements and feels like that. That song is a masterpiece of a song. And God, how fitting! Like when you're at the end of that game and you're hearing that, and you're seeing Sephiroth and all that, and you're like, oh man, shit is gonna go down. Like that's chills right there. I'm getting chills just thinking about that. Like, cause that was a special moment. You're like, this is not gonna be a normal boss fight, you know? God, that song it's too good. Brandon Sills Project donated. Thank you very much, man, and thanks for the comment. Let's see. We met at NAMM for a brief moment, but wanted to say thank you for being an inspiration and being not just a hilarious person, but an amazing human being. Oh, that's very kind of you. I am not an amazing human being. I am just a regular human being. I try to be hilarious. A lot of people think I am not hilarious, but I appreciate the sentiment, man. Thank you. Maddie donated and said, yo, Misha, would you ever consider writing song using that P4 clip that Matt says is impossible to play? I actually uploaded a clip of me driving the Performante, and I think I put that in there because I know you guys like that. It's possible. Just so you guys know, like, we have all these like riff ideas just sort of sitting around, and I don't really know what to do with them. And I'll even have them like, you know, in our Dropbox or on my phone in like an ideas folder, like of videos of me playing things. And it's sort of one of those things where when we're writing, we're like, hey, I wonder if that riff works. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So it's back there. I like that idea a lot, but sometimes it either has to be in the tuning or translate very well to the tuning that we're in, which it does and doesn't, you know. I like that idea a lot, but it's only an idea. It's not a song. So it's very possible, but it's one of those things that just have to happen in the moment, if that makes sense. We don't really want to like shoehorn riffs just for the sake of them being in there, you know? Do I remember playing an instrumental set in New Zealand with animals as leaders because Spencer's throat was messed up? Yeah, I do. It's a shame that the only set that we played out there was instrumental. We've had to do a few of those, unfortunately. We've all played like sick as a dog, like, but we can make it through a set. But if Spencer's voice doesn't work, and we've learned this the hard way, he used to like push through and try to force it, and then he would like blow his voice out for like 3 weeks, and then there was just no more singing. Then it's just instrumental sets the whole time. So he's gotten good at the point now to where he's like, yeah, like I shouldn't. I mean, he's sometimes like stopped in the middle of a set because he's like, yeah, it's gonna be bad if I continue. And you know, we don't want him to like risk losing his voice temporarily or permanently and like kind of screw over the show. So we're lucky enough to where we can get away with instrumental shows. It's not the best thing in the world, but I have found that like crowds have been very good about that. You guys have been very nice about it when it's happened. You know, shit happens sometimes, but it's unfortunate it happened in a place that we don't play very often, but you know, that's unfortunately the way it goes sometimes. Anyways, let's see what you guys have here. And I see a bunch of you guys are like posting links, and I think Streamlabs doesn't like that on Twitch. I don't really know how this stuff works. It happens because Spencer goes all in at shows. I don't know. I think there's people out there who think that like he doesn't take care of his voice, but that dude like warms up every day. Even the way he like works out and eats and what he does before and after a show, he'll like cool down before a show. He really does take care of his voice. But there are certain realities about when you sing and scream. If he just screamed or just sang, he would open himself up less to infection and there'd be less issues. But when you do both, it makes you more prone to getting sick. And, you know, like on this last run, it was just the fact that, like, at the beginning of tour, there were certain people on the tour package, not even in our band, but on the tour package who were sick. It went around once it got, you know, and it went around to a lot of the people, but you would never know. The other two bands were instrumental. And then when it got to Spencer, he's the only one who was sort of practically affected by it. And he got really sick. Like, when he was talking, like, his voice sounded messed up. And it was like, oh, is he going to be able to sing tonight? We don't know. So it's tough. It's really tough. And he does whatever he can to try to take care of himself. But there's only so much he could do. Let's see. That riff from Mark's Positive Grid video has got to be used at some point. That's in a song, which you guys have never heard. I think we recorded it around Juggernaut. And it just didn't fit the vibe of the album. It's way too, like, sort of upbeat and happy. But I actually really like that song. I was going to propose that we use it for the next album. And I think it actually works really well in that song, too. Been an old Masquerade, like 10 times the floor would flex under the weight of all the people. Yeah, we would feel that on stage, too. But that venue had a vibe, for sure. I need to show you that song now. Do I have that handy? I don't know if I have that handy. Maybe on another stream. We'll see. We'll see if you guys behave. All right. All right, let's see how I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn that off. Gate for that. All right, let's try that. Should we program the drums first or do the guitars? I don't know. Yeah, we have a bunch of things for guitars. All right, fuck it. Let's just do this in open space here. You want to see how bad I am at tracking? And at setting my thing to record properly? And we also I need to just rebuild my fucking template because it's a mess right now. Look at that. I don't need all those tracks. All right, that's good enough. All right, we'll just get that far. Tracking in front of you guys is nerve-wracking. You guys are all judging me and stuff. Let's and we could just copy that for the second half. Because we are lazy. And it doesn't fucking matter, does it? Right. I made a macro for quantization, but it only works so well. Let's see if we can get this to actually... You have to play it pretty tight, and there can't be, like, artifacts. But let's see. Oh, it's set to 30-second notes. Yeah, it's 16th notes... Magic. You guys like that? Cool little trick. A couple bugs with it, but then the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna clean this up a little bit. Yeah, you hear that? We don't like that. that might be tricky. Just steal it from there. See all the work I'll go through to not have to retrack something. Don't like that. Really should put tape on my guitar. That's why we're getting all those little tail end things, which I hate. But it's the beauty of editing DIs. Cool. And then let's let me do something else. So my little trick is second position. We'll layer it. All right, one more. All right. Love it when you have this exact same fuck up on both sides, and then you just start at the correct time both times. Don't listen to me, I'm rambling. All right. Where were we on this? 20 and 19. 20 and 19. Let's do that. Actually, it'll probably be less on this one. Let's do 9 and 4. Cool. Don't like that. What am I hearing here? Why am I getting emails? All right. What am I hearing there? Hearing the lead in? This is a rabbit hole that you can go down that is horrible, because the more you listen for it, the more shit you hear, and then none of that stuff matters, especially not in a mix. But, you know, can sort of do it. Yeah, there we go. All right, someone's saying to DM. What did I miss? What did I miss? Morris taken saying, trying to say something. All right, whatever. Don't know. Have I tried doing that with the audio alignment tool in Cubase? You know, I know it has the audio alignment tool. I have not had great luck with that. Maybe I'm just using it wrong. I should look into it. Maybe it'll make my life a lot easier. But let's see. Have I tried doing that? Or wait, where is this thing? That's cheating. Yeah, I know. It totally is cheating. I love cheating. It saves so much time. we all know that we could play this live, so do whatever you gotta do to save some time in the studio, because you don't want to spend fucking years just editing stupid shit. You know, the takes are pretty tight. It doesn't work unless you do a tight take, and either way I'd be editing. So sometimes on the album, we don't use it because I want it to sound kind of sludgy, but it's kind of nice tool to have. Yeah, you know, this isn't even cheating, this is like cheesing right now. Cheesing the DAW and music. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna look on Twitch because someone was saying something about something. How often are you using that split coil trick? We've been doing that probably since like sections of P3, I would say, and like it's on a lot of P4. But only on certain sections. There's only certain places where it sounds good. And even live, like, you know, sometimes like one of us, generally who's ever in the center, so a lot of times I'll be Jake, but you know, we get panned around too. We'll be on the second position. Could just sound sick. Kind of adds to it. So what did I miss on Twitch? What did I miss? Someone was saying something. Greg, maybe you can tell me what they were saying. Whatever. Let's see. We've got some more questions here. Or no, just one more question. Not really a question. Oh, well, Griffin K, thanks for the donation. Not really a question, but my very first show of yours I was able to go to was your Juggernaut tour with Thank You Scientist when I was in high school. Jesus. Got some young fans. I don't even remember being in high school. Still remember chatting with you guys and the TYS crew. Thanks for the awesome memories and experience. Oh, thanks for coming out, man. That was a fun tour. And that band is fucking insane. Tom Monda is like the guitarist in Thank You Scientist is one of the scariest guitarists I've ever seen in my life. Like that guy's, I mean, when I say like he's like Guthrie level, I'm not joking. Like that dude could hang with Guthrie and probably like get Guthrie to be like, what the fuck? And he doesn't even think he's that good because he's a New York jazz guy. All those guys I think are New York jazz guys, just insanely talented, probably surrounded by a lot of other insanely talented people. So they're just like, oh yeah, I'm not that great. And meanwhile, I'm like, I don't play the same instrument that you do, you know? Dude's like rocking out on like a fretless Vigier. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, that's sick, you know? I should play around with that. He makes it look so easy, you know? And it's like the hardest fucking thing to do in the world. Like, I can't. It's the reason I don't have a fretless is because I can't hang. And he's like improvising and shredding on it. I was like, God damn it. Anyways, yeah, really cool. Thanks. Shred Shot. Again, man, you're going crazy with these donations, man. I appreciate it, though. Car chat time. Maybe get a GT3 with the wing and keep the perf until you're sure. So yeah, just to get into car stuff for a little bit, because it's a great way to procrastinate from doing work. I think either way, I wouldn't replace the perf with a GT3 because I've been driving with a friend of mine who's a really sick driver, and he's been showing me how to unlock like sort of the last few tenths out of what that car can do, at least for the roads. I'm sure on the track it can go another level, but on the roads, that car can do some stuff that's like unreasonable. Like I'll be in a corner and I'll think I'm feeling the front end start to like jitter or understeer, and then my inclination is to like kind of lift off a little bit, and he's just like, no, power through. I'm like, you're sure? And like sure enough, like now I'm pulling like 1.1, 1.2 G's around this corner, and we're going like way too fast, and the car's just hunkering down going in, and the brakes are so powerful on that car. I think I was over braking as well. So, you know, he was like, yeah, just, you don't need to be so hard on it. Like, I'm sure at the track I would be, but like, you know, on these roads, I could just kind of brush them and get what I need out of them. So that car is really special. The GT3 would be to have the manual analog experience. And yeah, like it's something that I'm just gonna wait till I find the right spec. There's no rush. There's absolutely no rush. And with the uncertainty of what's going on with the economy and all that stuff, I really shouldn't be buying anything that I don't need right now, you know? And I don't need that. So I'm just going to sort of wait and see what happens. But I still, you know, shop on, or I still like window shop for cars like every day because it's all I think about at any moment. It's what I love. And you also said, can you please show your Omega plugin single chain settings, which GGDIR is best for your sound? I'm sure it's close to Bloody old Nolly preset. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. Like, I have this gate going right now just for tracking. The cool thing about doing stuff this way, so I'm doing this monitoring chain, which is how I'm monitoring with no latency because I have the full mix going on. But this is basically outputting to this monitor bus here, which is completely separate from my master bus. And I'm actually tracking with quite a bit of latency for my taste. Like at 256, but the stream takes up quite a bit of CPU and all that, and like I'm kind of approaching the limit here, so I figured for your guys' sake, I'll just, you know, deal with it. Still not too bad. I can live with it. But there's nothing on this channel other than like, you know, the stuff that I need, and there's nothing on the monitor channel itself. So that I can adjust the level of there, right? And then this is basically non-destructive. It's just recorded. This is just hearing what I want to hear, but it's just recording a blank DI there. So I have the gate just for my own sanity. And then this is how I have the amp set. I'm using their overdrive sim of the Earthquaker plumes there. Those are the settings there. And these are the settings I like. I have this in low gain mode and the voice mode in the bottom. And it's really cool. I have one of these on order. Mike says that it should be shipping very soon. He told me to pick out the knobs for it, and I got it in a baby blue head shell. So that's really cool. I'm very excited to have one in real life. But this plugin is wonderful just for, you know, taking down a DI. If we put this out, there's a pretty good chance I'll just reamp this stuff anyways, but it's great to have the edited DIs ready to go. So it'll make my job very easy. Or, you know, if it just sounds good enough, maybe I'll just leave it as is. Who knows? There's no point in doing extra work for nothing. And I've obviously disabled the cabs here. So that's off because I much prefer those studio cabs though. So I did go over this a second ago, but yeah, this is the setup that I'm using for that. Very, very basic. I think it's just basically the Swedish Technique preset with this oversized cab with a GK, G12, I keep going GK. It's the K100, that's what it is. But yeah, there you go. Let's see. What is the maximum speed at which you have driven? Well, I did this in Mexico, so it's fine. I did take the perf to 192. I will tell you that I'm not necessarily enthralled with straight line speed. And that car in particular, because it's technically a German car, you know, because Audi makes it. They make all those cars very stable at speed. They always dial in like a lot of caster on the car, so the self-centering on the steering wheel is pretty strong. So like at speed, and I'm sure they do a bunch of other stuff, and the aero on the car is great. So it feels very planted. So to tell you the truth, that car doesn't feel that different at 190 than it does at like 150 or 130 or 100. It's just planted. It's got your back. Not every car is like that, but that one's definitely, like, I feel like they did have the Autobahn in mind, you know? Definitely. But it's not something I really do because it's kind of risk versus reward. Like, going that fast doesn't really thrill me that much. And I think, you know, going around twisties, you could still go pretty fast, but I'm never looking at the speed because I have much more important things to be looking at. But yeah, if you ask me stuff about cars, I'll probably always answer it because I love cars. Let's see. Don't pull a Ryan Dunn. I mean, no disrespect to Ryan Dunn, but I believe he was drunk. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm very careful when I drive. I don't drive. I know what I'm doing seems like it's dangerous, and there's always an aspect of danger in everything that you do, but I do have rules about, like, when I drive Spirited. Like, I don't really drive fast on you know, around people or public or whatever. I just kind of drive normally. I don't really drive above the speed limit unless I'm like following, you know, the flow of traffic. And then, you know, I get my kicks on back roads, and I know where I don't push beyond my comfort level. And there have been many opportunities to do so, or times where I've been sort of pressured into it, and I really try not to do that. Now, of course, you know, bad things happen sometimes, but I think I am mitigating my risk as much as possible. I'm trying to have fun in a sensible way. So I do appreciate the thought, though. And I keep forgetting to look at this thing, but let's see. Do I always mix with SonarWorks on? That's a very good question. Yeah. SonarWorks is a bit of a game changer. I know that some people have mixed feelings about it. It doesn't really matter, because ultimately all you want is for things to translate. So every sort of decision I've made about my studio, whether it's like my Amphions or whatever it is just things, you know, my treatment, which is only like half up right now because I'm going to be moving soon. There's no point in investing too much in that. But like anything that I can do to basically make my mixes translate elsewhere. And between the Amphions and SonarWorks and my treatment, that's the best my stuff has ever translated. Because basically, I'd say that if SonarWorks has to do a lot, like if you're doing a measurement, and for those of you who don't know, it's room correction software. So it's basically, you know, making your mix, what comes out of either the speakers or your headphones, sound more accurate, right? Because the more accurate it sounds, the more informed your decisions can be. I'd say that like if you see it's doing a lot of work, then it may not be good because it really should just be that last final step. And what it's doing on my end isn't too much right now. And then also on headphones, which, you know, I've got this. So this looks like a pretty drastic curve, but this is like the average for the Sennheiser HD800. They have a whole bunch of profiles, right? And I can actually send these in to them. I've just been lazy about it, but I should send it in, and they'll actually like measure this and give me my own bespoke measurement for my headset, right? Which is great, because then it should be even more accurate. But like, yeah, it's one of these things where like the more accurate, you can see I even have a bit of a tilt on mine because I want a little more low end. But like the more accurate you are to flat, like the more informed your decisions can be about how much bass you have, and like especially with sub, like there's a lot of frequencies, and top end, you can see like this is a pretty big spike. So what may happen if I was using this without SonarWorks, I might be like, whoa, you know, like this is pretty bright. Like I should probably lower that top end. And then when I'd listen anywhere else, I'd be like, why is my mix so dull? So yes, I personally really like it. I would say with the caveat that you probably should have decent monitoring, and you should definitely have treatment before you start relying on it, or at least a room that for whatever reason is relatively well behaved. But if you're in a big square room or any sort of square room, you're going to probably have a lot of trouble if you don't have treatment. So I'd say treatment first, then monitors, then SonarWorks would be the order. If that makes sense. How do I get my bias effects tones to not sound like garbage? Okay, I'm going to be entirely honest. I've never had an easy time getting good tones out of bias, to be honest. I'm sure they're really nice guys. I mean, I did a demo for them once, and it was a bit of a struggle. I'd say the first step is the cab. The cab goes a long way, so I'm once again plug GGDzilla, see if that fixes it. So bypass their cabs, try our cabs out, because that actually does go a long way. But there's only so much that you can fix on the cab end, so, you know, try some other stuff out maybe. And we have some people saying change the IRs in bias. Yes, the cabs aren't good. Honestly, like that is something I have found. It was a bit of the impetus for us doing our own cab stuff, is like I found that like when Nolly was just sending me the cabs that he was shooting for fun, I was like, dude, this is better than what ships with any software stuff to begin with, and I was just using that for myself. So it's like, well, maybe we should just make this available to the public. Let's see. All right. Samuel B. Emmett donated. Thank you very much, dude. Are there any game soundtracks in recent history that have inspired you, like Nier Automata? I think that's how you say it, because I kept saying Automata, and then like all the fans of that game were like Automata. type which way to say it, and let's see if I'll understand. Doom Eternal. In recent history, I mean, I loved the Persona 5 soundtrack. I bought that box set. Like that, God, that soundtrack like literally like inspired the music I was writing at the time. I started playing Nier Automata because everyone says it's like the greatest game ever, and the music is so good that even though I've played about an hour of it, I went and bought that box set as well. Seems amazing. Doom and Doom Eternal, although they're amazing, they probably were more of like a passive inspiration since I'm already in that realm. It's, you know, it's just Mick did such a great job. That's just great music altogether. Final Fantasy 15 I thought had great music. Oh man, Fire Emblem The Three Houses. Like I almost want to cover the battle song, like one of the battle songs from that. I'm on my second playthrough right now, and like, God, the music in that game is fantastic. Oh, just love, like, I guess like all JRPGs need to have the best music ever or they can't get released, right? Anyways, thanks for that. The Infinite Myth donated and asks, Misha, have you gone into iRacing at all, or just sticking to GT Sport? Are there any series, F1, IMSA, WC, that you're bummed aren't able to run because of this whole coronavirus stuff? That's a really good question, actually. So, any sim racers here? Check in if you're a sim racer, because I automatically love you if you are. But I do play. I play GT Sport. GT Sport is not necessarily the most simulation-y, but it's just got a great player base and a pretty decent rating system and penalty system, which keeps the races generally pretty clean. It's very easy to get into a race, and it's easy to play with a bunch of friends, which is why I was thinking like I would actually try to get some races going with you guys if you guys want. We'll play. I'm trying to get like Elliot and Jake and maybe even Dez and maybe even Nolly. Nolly used to play some GT Sport, but I want to get all those guys in to play, and then maybe we'd get like a big lobby going, and you guys can join us, and we'll all race together, have some fun. So it's really good for that. The reason I haven't gotten to iRacing is a couple things. It's a very expensive model. I actually had a free trial, and I thought the force feedback was like kind of meh, and the graphics are like kind of meh, and the physics were good-ish, but like for a game that sort of prides itself on the physics, I was a bit disappointed in the force feedback and the physics and like the realism, and like it doesn't necessarily feel like driving a real car, and that's fine. I mean, I don't think any sim other than maybe R Factor 2 at times really nails that. But for such an expensive proposition, so really what you're buying is this big user base and ecosystem of racing, which is great. But ACC now is really growing, and I think I paid $30 for that game, and I'm done, you know? And I've been having some great races there, and that game looks great, and it's a lot of fun, and they have a good rating system, in my opinion. So I just haven't felt the need to get into iRacing. I may do it, and I know they're running some aggressive deals, so if some of my friends do it, maybe I'll get into it down the road, but I just don't want to get into this game where, like, I'm playing it, and I'm like, oh, the physics aren't that inspiring, and, you know, you're just playing just for the community, because I've already got 2 games that have a good community like that, and I'm kind of waiting for AMS2, Automobilista 2, to kind of get developed. It's in early access, but that has really promising physics and force feedback, like almost R Factor 2 level, and it looks like they'll have great content, and it'll be an easy UI and easy to get races going. So that's something I've been playing a little bit. Anyways, sorry to talk so much about cars, but you know that's what'll happen when you ask me questions about cars. Anyways, let's program some drums, because I've been lazy. I've been procrastinating. Let's also give a little save here. Alright, what did I have on the original? Sounds like a China. Did I just have a China the whole goddamn time? Gotta use some other symbols. Let's just leave it with the crash. What do we think? Pedal hats? Let's just do pedal hats, because fuck it. That's why. Fuck you, Matt. Deal with it. Nah, he could do that. actually 4 in a row. Do we leave the pedal hats in? That's a rough proposition there. I guess at 110, I mean, you could, if we were using triggers, you could. This is something that we can debate about forever, but I will put the kicks under a snare, especially with my my humanizing trick. It will make them so that they're not perfectly on top of each other most of the time. You can hear that they're kind of like semi-flammed, which I like the sound of. Could go for all right. I feel like there's some potential here. I can't see with that grid. Yeah, let's go for... that won't work. We need the 16th. Don't really know what I'm going for here, but whatever. I need to get rid of all these extra ones. Then we gotta extend that next one over. We'll go for... We're going to do a little bit of a studio magic here. I do on the original? Forget. Interesting. Don't know if I like that either. That works. Good enough for now. Do want to get rid of this thing though. Let that just be the second time. What do we say? More grounded the first. Should we do some cheap ghost notes? You guys want to see the cheap ghost notes trick? Easiest way. Do that. Oops, did not mean to do that. Did mean to do this. And we just pull one of these. Oh, let's say, what I'd like 14. I think we had something like we have that part there. I can just copy that from earlier. I think we only need one though. This is just a copy paste. No, it's not. Oh. We're gonna have to. Ah, what a pain in the ass. Just want to copy and paste everything. Don't want to have to redo it. So we have. Okay, so I think we just displaced the snare here. So if we just pull one of these. I'll get to your questions in just a second, guys. What do we have for the second half? Double time. And cool fill to match the thing. I think it's 16 note triplets, I think it starts with a snare too, right? Okay, I think I know what's going on there. Technically could keep the pedal chicks there because she's doing a little sneaky double here. My toms flipped. That's kind of cool. Let's get some velocitizing going. Not bad. All right. Maytab, my business partner at Horizon, just sent me just a clip of. It's a good cause. Let's help this guy out. It's a video. It says punching myself in the balls until I'm famous. Day 4. I'll support that. That's it's capitalism at work. Let's just say it is. Anyways, yeah, okay. Just finish up this section and I'll look. I think here we're back to. We got a little bit of kicky boys there. Already in the right Ooh, it could be kind of cool to like kind of a cheeky crash there. So There we go. It's more like it, I think. What have we got? This is why it's so annoying. I do want to sort of maintain the vibe of the original. I know I could play around with this stuff, but yeah. We got an annoying fill, which I have to track guitars for. I think we could just copy this from the very beginning because it's the same feel. Be kind of cool. Oh, it actually doesn't go to the just goes to like 8th note thing or 16th note thing. All right, let's see. Well, let's listen. Let's listen. You guys had to. Let's see what we got done. Right. I need to program that part. Whoops. Put vocals in. Okay, so there are octaves coming in there. Copy those from here. Soft, but whatever. We'll cut it for now. One thing I noticed Mark was doing live, because he's playing this part, was normally this is just an octave going straight through, but he's matching the staccato nature. It's not very tight, but it doesn't need to be. Alright. Let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying. Are these Spencer's new vocals? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how official they are. I think he just did them for fun on his home setup, but they sound like they could be final. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hey, what's up? I'm doing a live stream. Sorry. Um, yep, yep. You can be heard on the live stream right now. But I'm probably gonna stop soon because I'm tired of tracking. Griff NK says, so I know it happened like 7 years ago, but reflecting back on the bit of work you did for past projects like Cosmonaut by Being or the Halo stuff, how do you feel about with time having passed or other projects for that matter? Varying degrees. I feel like the Being stuff was a little bit dated. Like I probably would have done a better job if I'd done it now, but you know, I'm glad. I was cutting my teeth with that stuff. The Halo stuff, I'm super proud of. That I think came together very nicely. I was very, very happy with how those 2 songs came out. But yeah, thanks for the question. Stock Beast donated, thank you very much, and said, you poked the other day about running with 2 guitars, 1 bass for Absalom live. Would you ever consider writing songs that way in the future simply to have a groove bass emphasized song to play live? I don't think we'd ever write stuff with live stuff being the focus. It's maybe always in the back of our mind, like we're writing stuff. Like I think we were writing like Follow Your Ghost. We're like, man, this is gonna be a good live one, you know? And that one definitely ended up being like one of my personal favorites to play live. Like it was just kind of thinking about it, but that's about as far as that will go. That'll never really inform why a song is the way it is. It's more like a byproduct. Like, whoa, I bet this one will be fun live. I really enjoy the writing process, and it's the only part that's kind of sacred. We'll kind of make fun of and have fun with just about any other aspect, but the songwriting is the one part that everyone, including our manager, knows not to mess with. Just let us do our own thing. It's what I have probably the most fun doing, and especially with the guys. So we just kind of get in this zone and we just follow the thread of ideas and see where it takes us. It's the reason why when we're setting out to do an album, it never ever sounds the way that we plan for it to sound. It's always something very different than what we had planned for. But I just really enjoy kind of following that thread, and then we have to figure out how to do it live. So sometimes we will run into those problems, or maybe there will be a song that's very sort of bass driven, but maybe it would be a factor at some point where we'd be like, well, maybe we should have more than just bass going and starting off a song. But that's the way Absalom started, and it felt wrong to have it start any other way. I forget if at that point in time Nolly was still going to tour with us or not. Again, I don't remember because it didn't really matter. We just wanted the song to be the way the song needed to be, and that's kind of the way we'll continue to write. Anyways, guys, thanks for accompanying me and letting me procrastinate while I work on this. Maybe we'll do more of these. Maybe I'll work on some solo stuff, and you guys can see. But yeah, thanks so much for keeping me company. See you guys. Can't even talk. All right, laters.